Alright, everyone, welcome back to the channel where we left off last time, having problems with the PSU. Probably problems of my own making, but we're not here to talk about that. Enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so this was almost 2 weeks later because I had to wait for the PSU that fits well with this case to be shipped. I was not going to be paying for extra shipping speed just to get it faster. No siree. So while I was waiting, I started thinking of what I want to change before I end up building everything out and not, wanting to bother tear it down to do something different with parts, etc. So I thought one thing that would be cool is just to do a CPU contact frame mount instead of the regular ones that came with the motherboard. So as you see here, I'm taking the one that comes with the motherboard out, and at this moment I undid way too many screws, and the back plate of the motherboard came loose as well. I didn't realize, undo only a set of screws at one time. So yeah, I had to think really quick, like, oh crap, did I do something wrong? Or I did, but I was hoping like I didn't mess it up, that it's unfixable. Once you loosen too many screws at one time, yeah, that's what happened. But I was able to get it back to shape. Alright, so this is the PSU I was finally able to find that goes well with this particular case. It's from a company called Montech, and of course this is not a sponsor or anything, but again, this is from a company called Montech. Still pretty not as well known of a company, or at least this is my first time hearing of them. Usually hear about Corsairs and stuff when it comes to PSUs. But again, they had pretty solid reviews and pretty good customer support, which I think would always be handy coming on the down the road, because you never know when one of these parts are gonna fail. So yeah. So another thing that I should have learned from this one is that the you don't have to actually put all the cords that came with your PSU into each slot. It's well, as you see later in the video, or maybe the next video, I ended up like disconnecting a couple of them, or maybe like three actually, because I didn't need them. I guess maybe for expansion storage like HDD or SSD. So yeah, I had to disconnect it just to make a bit more space and less cluttered overall. Alright, so one thing I would say about this case, which I think is a downside, is I like the placement of the location for the PSU, but the space to get the cords through to the back connect to the connectors on the motherboard, that is a pretty tight space. So as you can see, I'm like struggling to fit like that massive amount of cable in there. So it's one of those things where you have to be like strategic in how you choose to connect it before actually mounting it. So I actually saw a video of this before, so I figured let me just do it this way instead to avoid any super painful process of getting this mounted. But after doing all that, slides in pretty well, no pun intended. But yeah, fits like a glove. Alright, next is the other change that I made, the AIO cooler. As I mentioned in the last video, the screws are missing from the AIO that was sent to me. And again, as I said, Micro Center couldn't help with the screws, etc., etc. Try to go through RMA, nothing. So I ended up ordering a Tomorite AIO cooler, the ones with the wide display screen, which I think was pretty cool. So I figured, why not? But unfortunately, one of the things about ordering these parts used, is that anything could be wrong with them. Which, unfortunately, as I found out later in the case of this one, the RGB light strip at the top near the name, the cord that goes to it, it's cut. Well, probably like an accident, but it's cut. So the light strip is not working, but everything else was still working just fine, apparently. So I figured, you know what? I don't feel like changing this thing again. Maybe down the road I'll get another AIO cooler. We'll see, but at this point, as long as it works and does what it does, what it needs to do, I am completely satisfied. And of course, as many mistakes as all this time when it comes to PC building, I almost left the sticker on where it says please remove before install. And of course I almost failed at that single instruction. But thank God I realized it in time, because those temps were about to be hot. So over the course of this video, well, maybe next video actually, you will see me change the position of this AIO back and forth, like, because I was trying to think like, oh, okay, on the other side the cord is too close to the exhaust fan, but then I was thinking like, okay, maybe this side would be better, but then I had to like shift it back for something else. So yeah. So just want to chime in quickly here in between the cable connecting, etc. First, apologies. You've seen a lot of autofocus during the video. I have a fixed zoom camera, so I haven't quite figured all those settings out yet. So I might not be able to change that. Just, yeah, I'll find some workaround to that. Second, apologies if you're not seeing like the whole thing in one frame. This is because of the fixed zoom as well. So just wanted to chime in quickly for that one. All right, enjoy the video. Alright, so finally gets one of the most exciting parts, the GPU. And I finally just somehow cut myself with the box. I mean, did it really need to be that sharp? Because I was not expecting that. Let me know if you've ever had a GPU box cut you. Alright, so for my first power up, it was a dud. Nothing worked. Well, except for the fans, RAM lit up, and RGB on the motherboard lit up. But as you can see on the screen, I had a error light. But I wasn't sure which one, and they really gotta make those letters bigger somehow. I know it's kind of like, it's not really priority, but you would think I would have known that. Again, from the countless video I watched, you would think, oh, motherboard light. Look at what the position is so you can tell which light it is. But I figured all this out eventually, but it took me a minute. Yeah. But anyway, just enjoy me starting up, shutting it down, starting up, shutting it down, to see if it'll work. Reset things, connections, see if that solves it. And of course it didn't, because the entire time the issue was, can you guys guess? Motherboard pins. Yep, pins were bent, and I looked at the motherboard before I started putting it in and everything, but it didn't look bent. But again, those are very tiny to see. But learned my lesson. So before I even discovered what the issue was, tried thinking maybe the BIOS, needs to be updated, because again, it is a used board after all. So I figured, this BIOS flashback, update, see if that works. But of course, nothing didn't. But yeah, still kept getting errors and everything. So it took me a minute to figure all this out. Again, I don't know why it took me a minute. I could have just looked at it then and squint my eyes and see which light that was. But I always gotta do things the hard way at times. And eventually, after removing the GPU, putting it back in, removing it, reseating other parts, and see if that helps. Of course, nothing helps. So I just say, what? Forget it. Just come back to it later. Thanks for watching.